everyone. Welcome back to Horror Movie Maniacs. I'm here as usual, Grant, with my co-host Ben.
Hi guys. Hello.
Hello. So something a little bit different today. So we've got a very special guest, and she goes by the name of Danny. Hello, Danny. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. How are you doing today, Danny?
Really well. By day I'm a teacher, so I'm on summer holidays. So I've done nothing all day, and it's been great.
Yeah, sounds brilliant. Yeah, very nice.
That's quite a mix from your evening job.
It really is. It really is. They blend hand in hand so nicely.
I was going to say, yeah, that leads us nicely. That leads us nicely into what it is, doesn't it? Really. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do for your evening role?
I do. Mostly seasonal work, but in the evenings, I tend to work as a scare actor at Europe's largest scare park, which is really exciting.
Sounds so
very
cool.
exciting.
Yeah, sounds amazing. So
it really is. It's such a difference.
And I've been a couple of times, and yeah, for what I'd like to consider myself a seasoned horror goer, it was a bit too much, to be honest. One of the events was horrendous. No, honestly, there was a particular bit. You walk through a room and this actor had their leg across the table, so you kind of had to step over. And that's probably the scariest thing I've ever had to do, to be honest. I knew exactly what was coming, but it didn't help.
I didn't even realise, Grant, that you were actually just such a scaredy cat, to be honest.
Well, yeah. I mean, when it's in your face.
As I say, to give you your G's, I think that they're very cleverly mapped out. So they hit on a series of tropes of fears, and there's always something there for someone. And generally, there tends to be one that really gets a visitor, and the others are kind of great for entertainment and a little bit of a shock. But there's usually one that really gets you.
Yeah, it did.
It's good to know. It's good to know. I will. I'll try and pop along at some point. I think see if I get scared.
And even when you finish an event and you're relaxing and you're all laughing about what's happened, they just decide to creep up behind you and just get you there. Could be eating a nice snack and just there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I do. That's the bit I do.
No holds barred.
Strike when everyone's in shock.
Yes, great.
You seem to get a lot of enjoyment out of this role, I've got to say.
I mean, it's a really weird, like you said, it's such a contrast, I think, because I have to be so patient. My day job is working in a school for kids with trauma and all sorts. So it's such a difference. During the day, I have to be super patient and, take it all in and all that. And so once a year, I'm allowed to play and let it all out, and it's great.
So cool. Yeah, I was going to say, I've worked with kids. I've worked with kids for about 15 years and stuff myself, so no, I understand that completely. So
yeah, it's got to go somewhere, and it tends to go into a paid job, so that's good.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing.
Definitely. So if you don't mind us asking, how long have you been doing this scare acting?
My first job in a scare park was in 2014, but I've done 5 or 6. So the years kind of run into each other. I think it's 5, and this would be my 6th year if I'm lucky enough to be rehired. So yeah, it's quite a while.
Yeah, definitely. That's amazing. A seasoned pro, I would say. Really.
Thanks.
Really get to hone your craft.
Yeah.
Do you have? Is there anything in particular that you love about doing it?
Oh, so much. I think the thing that I love the most out of it, on my part as an actor who works there, is there's such a sense of community in sort of scares and sort of the scare world. I had no idea how huge it was. I just thought this was, a tiny little out of the way venue. I had like this mad idea, but there's like, how like you like Comic-Con, there's scare cons and there's all sorts going on, and awards, and I just think the whole sense of community about it, both on site and then that extends from it, is just really lovely. A place to kind of just celebrate all things a little bit creepy.
Amazing. Yeah, I've got to say the same as well. Speaking to a couple of people that have done scare acting, and they told me about the depth of this place and, the revenue, etc. and stuff like that. It was eye-watering. It's crazy.
I didn't realise it was such a big thing, really. So
Yes,
I had no idea until my friend at a different job. I've worked at lots of different schools. A different job was like, I think you'd be really good at this, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So she said, like, just come along and do an audition. So went through all that audition process, and I was absolutely hooked. The moment that I knew what it was, I was like, I need to do this. I need to do this.
So cool. Amazing. Yeah, I think it's great as well that they make you audition. So I'd imagine you've got to be acting out all kinds of scary stuff, and
Oh my God, it's insane. Like it's insane. There are things, there's a whole sort of process that goes through. And then once you've done sort of the big mega process, when you reapply, you can kind of skip the first part, which I'm so glad about, because we were made to do some mad things. Mad.
Wow.
I can only imagine. I suppose we can't overly ask, but I can only imagine.
I mean, if you merge the scariest scenes of any film that you've watched with a really messy Friday night, it's kind of a bit like that.
Okay.
Wowza. Sounds like a good night out.
I was going to say, interesting. Grant, we need to get into this, mate. So when are we auditioning?
Just for the messy part.
Yeah.
All acted. Disclaimer: all acted. There's no influencing factors other than your own talent, I suppose.
Or lack thereof on my part.
Yeah, I was going to say with us there, mate. Yeah. But, do you have like particular characters that you enjoy playing, or do you play like the same role each time?
I guess it kind of depends on where you're cast, and it depends on which company you're working for. So the one that I know very well, there's a bit of a mix. You can get cast into one particular maze, which means that you do the same maze for the whole run. But you're moved around within that maze. It's kind of sectioned off, so you don't have to do the whole thing. But it gives a sense. The way that they plan it is that it gives a sense that there's just people there all the time. That it's just overrun with people, which I really love. It's another thing that I really love about the job. Sort of practically is that you can jump out of people in so many different ways, and they're just like, oh my God, I just left you. How are you here again? And that's glorious.
That's cool.
Or you can get cast. To kind of cover wherever there's a sort of low numbers, or if there's a sudden absence, then you've kind of got like a team that covers, and then there's a team whose job it is, as you were saying, Grant, to kind of go around the park and entertain in between mazes as well. So it kind of depends on where you're cast as to what that looks like.
Brilliant. Yeah, nice. That sounds really good.
What one of those do you like the most? Do you like loitering around and terrifying people, or do you like being in the maze?
I love them all for very different reasons.
Fair enough.
I've done each. I've done them all. I did one maze for a season, and it was insane because you really get into the context of it. You really sort of build the story, and you can see it grow. And as you get to know your fellow actors, you kind of really start to kind of vibe off each other, and you already know what's going to happen sort of 300 meters ahead. So you're kind of gearing up to sort of pass that on, and that's really lovely. And equally, amazing. Jumping around from maze to maze is excellent because you get such a great scope of the scale of what you're doing that sometimes you can lose in a season. Yeah.
Amazing.
Nice. It sounds so cool. Yeah. Sounds truly amazing.
You definitely enjoy scaring people then, we assume. I
do in that context. I don't like scaring people outside of that. But there's something really celebratory about being able to pull off a good scare. And there are certain boundaries that you kind of follow, and there's you get a whole sort of training package that comes with it and how to do that effectively and what to do and what not to do.
Amazing.
So it's a bit like when you walk home after a great day at work and you're like, I was really good at that. There is a real sense of achievement from making people cry. It's great.
Brilliant. You must have seen you must have seen some absolute crazy reactions over your time doing this. But
it's probably me.
Fear,
probably.
Yes. Fear is such a funny thing to respond to. Like everyone gives it all this about, if I got scared I'd do this. But I've seen some 6 foot muscly dudes with their tiny little girlfriends, and they will shove those girls anywhere to get away, and
I
it's
bet.
wonderful.
It's so good.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that was me again.
Yeah. Oh, no, it sounds so much fun. So much fun. It's got me like
so
fully invested into wanting to, go and check out as much of this kind of thing as I can. So,
we got to, Ben.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. So Grant, I was going to just say, do you want to ask? We've got one final thing that we were going to ask on this section. That's right. I'll go ahead. So we're just going to ask if you have a favorite horror memory at all, from maybe like when you were younger, so almost like what got you into liking horror.
I guess that's a bit of a double-edged sword, because I remember distinctly the thing that made me scared, and it was the stupidest thing that I've ever done. I was 9, and I thought I was a big girl now, and my brother's slightly older. So he had loads of people around for his birthday to go and watch. Or back in the day when, you went to Blockbuster and got a film. And he decided,
good old days.
Yeah, I know. That kind of era. He decided that watching It was the thing to do on his birthday, and because I thought I was all smart and clever and massive now, I went and watched it with them. And then I had to go and sleep in my brother's room because he had the smaller room and I had the bigger room. So he and all his friends slept in my room, which was decorated as any 90s girl would decorate.
Nice.
And I had to sleep in my brother's bedroom, which at the time was decorated with like marionettes.
Oh, wow.
Jesus.
I absolutely pooped my pants all night. It was horrifying.
I bet.
Yeah, it was. That was a real clear memory. And then I think surviving the whole night and to the morning and nothing had changed. It really felt like it. I was, fully like prepared for it. I was like, where's the nearest drain? Like just ready for anything. And knowing like in the morning that nothing had happened, I was like, oh, this is actually really exciting. Like,
nice.
This isn't actually going to come like out of the TV and have a go. Like this is fully made up fun. So I think once I'd kind of realized that it wasn't real, that I was kind of a little bit more invested in it. And then tentatively you do a bit and then you do a bit more, and then this kind of genre is really cool. And started off with a lot of the kind of blood and gore stuff, and then moved more and more into kind of psychological stuff and ghosts and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's really sort of just expanded as a litmus test for how scared I can make myself before I come to
Nice, that's amazing. So just one final thing then. I know I said the last bit was the final one, but I take it you don't have a phobia. You don't have a phobia of clowns or anything.
I did.
Okay.
I absolutely
that makes sense.
I was fully terrified of clowns,
right.
And it didn't help that in the first year that I worked at the scare park that I'm now sort of dedicated to, the first year I went round as a punter. And I went into their clown maze, and I was so terrified I couldn't move, which then means you back up all the queue. So people get real cross at me because I wasn't moving, but I couldn't move because there was a clown in front of me, and I was scared of clowns.
No.
And it wasn't until I had to be a clown as an actor that I got over that phobia, and I was like, it's just people like me who are getting a real like kick out of making people afraid. This is a person, it's not it. So that really helps to kind of get over that. But I think I would be lying if I said that I was completely over it. They still make me feel uncomfortable, but it's no longer like I'm going to cross the road to avoid. But for a long time I was very afraid of clowns.
But that clown maze is horrendous though. I've been in that clown maze, and I don't have a phobia of clowns, but even it was tense.
I so need to get. I so need to get there and have a look at this because I'm not scared of clowns or anything like that. So.
I bet you'll be a bit more scared when you leave it.
The best night. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I think
I'm sure I will.
That's the thing I love about the way that they're set out, is that you can absolutely like poop your pants over something and then go into the next thing and just find it hilarious and just deeply entertaining. So I think it works so nicely, that balance between fear, excitement, enjoyment, entertainment, and it just adds up to like a great night out.
It really is a great night out, to be fair.
I'll get there as soon as possible.
Ben, what are you doing?
I know. You'd think I'd have been by now, wouldn't you, really, being an absolute horror nerd? But,
Unacceptable.
Maybe deep down I'm too scared. Who knows?
I'm treating so I do that.
That's really it.
Yeah. Right. Thank you very much for explaining about, what you do. And let's move on then to talk about The Ring. Okay, right. So we are here with part 2 of our episode this week. Danny, we spun your wheel of misfortune for you to pick your movie. Yeah. So yes. I think you gave us roughly 10 films to choose, and then spun the wheel, and it landed on Hideo Nakata's 1998 classic, The Ring.
Amazing.
Yes. So this is a film that I absolutely adore.
It is his favourite.
It is. I've got a Sadako tattoo on my leg. I love it that much.
Amazing.
So, first off then, like I just said, directed by Hideo Nakata, based on the novel of the same name, which came out in 1991, by a person called Koji Suzuki, which I've never read the novel so far, but I will be picking it up as soon as I can. So,
how dare you?
Also, just want to add in that the music was done by Kenji Kawai, who I've never heard of, but I quite like the music in this film as well. So I thought,
the way you said that, hoping that someone would be like, "Oh, that's amazing!"
Oh, yeah, love that.
No
guy.
idea.
No, me neither. But I like the music in this film, so I thought I'd pop that in there.
It's good. No, I like it.
Right, let's get started then by just asking you, Danny, what do you like about this film?
Let's go through the synopsis, man.
No.
The synopsis, no?
No? Yeah, no,
I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, go on, do it.
Well, I've got to say, I'm the opposite end of this one because I'd never seen it until it landed on your choice on the wheel, which I know
have you seen it now?
I have now, yeah. Thank God.
I hope so.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Tell us about it. No idea. No.
I hear it's very good.
That's it. That girl
what you guys tell me.
Girl comes out of the telly. There you go, the end.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The end.
Yeah.
Right. So I was new to it, and I have to say I'm a big fan now as well. But quickly, synopsis. When her niece is found dead along with 3 friends after viewing a supposedly cursed videotape, reporter, I'm going to butcher this, Riko, we'll go with that, sets out to investigate. Along with her ex-husband, Riko finds the tape, watches it, and promptly receives a phone call informing her that she'll die in a week. Determined to get to the bottom of the curse, Riko and her husband discover the video's origin and attempt to solve an old murder that could break the spell. Mysterious.
Yeah, very mysterious. What a great synopsis there. Thank you very much.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Yeah, once again.
That wasn't from the internet or anything.
No, you remembered all that, did you, or made it up?
Yeah. I did my own synopsis.
Yeah, sounded like you made it up a little bit, to be fair. But yeah. Right, let's crack on. So yeah, Danny, let's start then with what do you like about this film?
So much. First of all, I'm devastated that it came out so long ago because now I feel super old.
Yeah, sorry about
that. It's all right. I'm getting those hits daily. It's fine. I'm thickening the skin for that one. I think in terms of the film, it's a beautiful balance of kind of your classic horror story, classic ghost story kind of setup.
Yeah.
And the first kind of J horror film that I'd ever seen. There was something really beautiful in the way that it's composed unseen, and I think there's an element of the kind of cultural differences in that I find super mega intriguing. I've really enjoyed the scares in it. I thought were excellent. I loved the build. I loved the kind of with every day that passes, there's more and more tensions.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know if it's going to come, or if it's not going to come, are they going to solve it? Are they not going to solve it?
Yeah.
So you've got that kind of building panic. You've got the psychological kind of draw that builds as it goes, and then you've got it's all on this beautiful foundation of a rock solid ghost story, which I think is just a beautiful coming together of so many great sort of aspects of horror. Yeah, great film. Brilliant.
I mean,
Love that answer.
Yeah, I would have to agree with every aspect of that. To be fair,
what an answer! Top that.
No, I'm not going to be that good, you know. So, but yeah, completely agree. Absolutely, I thought the pacing was amazing. The way it does slowly build the tension by whenever it flashes up with the day of the week, and it does that kind of drone sound. You know, you can almost feel you're getting closer and closer to the final day for Reiko. And of course, Ryuji, is it the husband?
Yeah, I tried not to pronounce it.
yeah, you just dodged it, didn't you, mate? I know that's got to have been in the synopsis, but
I said the husband.
yeah, fair enough. But yeah, the tension, and I really enjoy the silences in the film as well. I think the silence in certain parts is used to build the tension very well. And also, I don't think any of the dialogue is like wasted. You know, no one waffles on for ages like we do or anything.
Yeah.
So it's very, very short, clipped dialogue. And I think that works a treat. It works really well. So
yeah. I mean, I've got a different angle on it because I came at a different order. So I obviously saw the remake, the American or whatever, the one, the famous one, and saw that for what it was. And then I came and watched this one, the original, and it's a completely different movie. And I was in love with it. It goes far more on tension building, story building, atmosphere. And I always love a good film that makes me uncomfortable. And this certainly did that. So rather than just in your face, scary horror, this one was far more, slow burning story building. And I always appreciate that. Yeah.
Danny, have you seen the remake as well?
I did a long time ago and I poo-pooed it. I remember that straight away. It's exactly
a scary one.
Yes. And I think it became another film that was kind of predictable. I think in many ways the things I didn't like about the remake are exactly what you're saying. You do like, Grant, about the original, that it kind of lost a lot of the richness that came through the original. And as much as there were impactful, powerful scares in the remake, it just kind of lost a lot. It just felt very theatrical, and the story doesn't really lend itself to theatricality. There's something in the understatement of it that really draws out the kind of suspense of it all, and that got lost for me.
It really does a bit. It kind of turns just into almost like a cheap scare. Not a cheap scare, but it's just a jump scare movie, the newer one.
Yeah.
And that's why I love the first one so much, obviously coming at it from a different order to you guys. So
yeah, again, I think it's just like, it feels like a very close-knit family tale, the original, very, very close. And obviously it just goes out to the granddad and a couple of other characters. But whereas I think the American one doesn't it delve really deeply into, it's not even Sadako, is it? It's Samara. I think it shows you her a lot more and things. Whereas obviously in the Japanese one, you barely see Sadako. You see her in the flashback scene late on where her mum's doing the psychic trick and stuff. And then of course you see her in the iconic bit at the end. So right. Should we? Oh yeah, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to ask another one, Danny. Yeah. So what are your sort of general thoughts on the story? How well do you think it was told, or just your take on the storyline?
I think it's a beautiful interlacing of your classic ghost story. I could really picture it being told around a campfire, that kind of a bunch of teenagers who want to kind of freak each other out a bit, and then nobody wants to go home alone. It's that it really does build on that sort of storytelling aspect of it, and really, we are creatures of storytelling. That's kind of how stories were handed down traditionally. I think it holds true to a lot of its cultural roots, and I don't know very much about Japanese culture, but it does kind of build its authenticity through the relationships between all the characters. So I'm going on such a tangent now. Seeing it,
it's fine. This is great.
In terms of the story itself, I think there is beauty and simplicity. And again, when I think about Japan, that's what I think of, that kind of real mastering of a simple craft. And the simplicity of that story really tells it all. It really opens up to the imagination. And that's what I think is key to that film, is that although the felt response is the same, everybody who likes that film gets scared by it in a different way. But actually the scare comes from what you build in your head, not what you see on the screen. And so I think that's the magic in it. And so in many ways the story kind of builds differently for other people. But I really saw it as, that again, linking it to being a teacher, I hear a lot of tales told, by kids.
Of course, yeah.
I really felt that. At the beginning. I was like, oh, here we go, just another bunch of kids telling a story. Oh, yeah, all right, whatever.
So true, so true.
And then, slowly but surely, this builds and builds. And as soon as an adult gets involved, suddenly there's weight to it. And so there was something that I really, really enjoyed in the build of the story of I need to tell people, but I can't tell too many people because what if they think I'm mad? So that kind of plays on a lot of things. And, in her career as a reporter, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's correct.
She has a sort of instinctive desire to share stories, and she's sitting on this massive headline essentially that she can't do anything about, because what if she dies? So I think there's so much jeopardy in it, and that builds and builds and builds through the story. That beautiful scene where they're traveling towards where the granddad is on the island, I thought was absolutely gorgeous. Them going over the ocean, and just that moment of pause, and that kind of, it hit me, that scene, because of the scale of the water kind of to me represented the scale of what she was going through, and the depth at which she has to go in order to kind of resolve this. And then you get that real concrete realization of, oh my God, we have to commit this act in order to try and free this ghost, essentially. That was harrowing, watching the interplay between those two characters who sort of have to help each other to get through to the bottom, but then it's her responsibility ultimately to do this thing. And that absolutely grossed me out. I couldn't cope. It was too much in the well. It was just that was the end of it all for me. That clump of hair. No, I couldn't cope with that. So that really kind of touched a visceral nerve.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that's the bit that got everybody on first watch. I remember first time watching it years and years ago, and it was on TV. I think it's on Channel 4. They were doing like Asia Extreme kind of run through of movies, and I caught it late at night. The slow tension build up into that, and then when they're actually in the well, and one of them keeps looking at their watch. So again, the tension is coming more and more and more. And then, the hair obviously falling off the skeleton. And
that was grim.
It gets you bad. Yeah, it gets you really bad.
That's a good one, though.
That's probably because everyone's not done that, but everyone's put their hand on something that's gross. Instantly, everyone has that exact feeling of what do I do with this? Like, there's no wet wipe. What do I do? So it was a real moment, and then that kind of that false finish. I love those things. That false finish where you kind of think that everything is resolved, and then she realizes there's more to this tale, and I really enjoyed that. That's what made me not sleep.
Without a doubt. Because you think it's ended, and obviously it hasn't. So a couple of modern films recently have took that on board as well, and they haven't pulled it off quite in the same way. I would say, obviously, that we had It Follows a little while ago, which followed a similar thing with like a curse, and then recently Smile, which kind of done the false finish. Have you seen Smile?
I haven't yet. No. Do you know what's really bad?
I'm about to ruin it.
Honestly, for someone who makes a living out of scare, and for someone who is so mad about horror, I haven't actually watched a lot of the films.
You're like Ben then.
Fair enough. What? What's in loads?
No, but every time I'm like, you've seen it. Every time I say to Ben, Ben, have you seen this one? He's like, no, I haven't caught it. Like, you only just seen Train to Busan. Disgraceful.
I've been busy. That's a modern one, right?
Love it.
Like you're saying, I think the story is not, I don't want to say beautiful, but I like the simplicity of how it's told. And it is the bit where Reiko is in the well, and she embraces the skeleton and pulls it in closer and just hugs the skeleton, almost like she's taking on the mother role. I think is what got me. You kind of almost stop being scared for a second, and you're like, oh wow, there's some real emotion in that. I don't know. It's kind of.
I love that. That's a good answer.
It's a brilliant scene. And then, like you say, it goes. You think it's all over, and it goes to the false finish, and then you get the iconic girl out of the TV. So right. Yeah, let's move on then. So, characters, I was going to say, now there's not too many in this, so, this probably won't take too long. Danny, what did you make of, let's start off with the main sort of two then, Reiko and Ryuji.
The husband.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yes, the husband and ex-husband.
Poor guy.
So,
poor guy.
Yeah, what did you make of those guys?
Love them. I think it's so difficult sometimes to pull off a relationship in itself, like making that look convincing, full stop, is a thing, but to portray that that love lost in a marriage is no longer they're no longer together, and yet there is still a care for them, that's a level of intimacy that can only be applauded, and it's pulled off so beautifully. You really get a sense, particularly from him, of that that real tender care, despite a change in the relationship, and that's really lovely to see. And I like the way that they build that. It starts a little broken, but they get closer and closer as the time ticks by. It's lovely.
That's what I was just going to add, actually. At the start, I think he seems a bit kind of nonchalant, a bit like, whatever, I'm not bothered, kind of, But as time goes on, I think it's where they're in the boat crossing back near the end, and he puts his arm around her and stuff, and you can see that, the maybe not the love is there in the same way, but obviously the care is still there and things. So that's quite sweet. Yeah. Grant, what did you make?
Beautiful. I think your answers are so good here. I haven't got an awful lot to say. I completely agree with everything you're saying. I did find that quite unique with them being separated, though, and then sort of finding their way back to each other. In whatever context that was, but that was quite unique for me, and that stood out. But generally, I think it all just ties in with the whole vibe of the film. Really, it's all told so well. Nothing feels out of place.
Nice.
And I'm here for that. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah,
and there's something really about how it was focused on marriage, and it wasn't like, I'm thinking about, if I was a particular country that was going to remake, I would probably throw a kid in there and put some, he said, she said, but they don't. That's not done. It's very much about the adult relationship, and I really like that. That adds an element that I think could easily have been muddied.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like a very mature kind of relationship, I would say. And the only slight odd thing I'd say leading on from that is the son, Yoichi. Now he's a strange little boy, I would say. Love him. I think he's amazing. Getting his mum's clothes ready when she's not in and that kind of thing. But how old is he?
What guy?
Yeah. But how old is he supposed to be?
22.
Because isn't he like the height of, I'd say, like a 6-7-year-old, right? He's small, isn't he? He's really small. But I get the impression he fends for himself a lot of the time. And I believe this film is also trying to tell the tale of sort of almost child neglect, because they are wrapped up in trying to solve this case, and they're getting deeper and deeper and dragged in. They're getting deeper and deeper into trying to solve the mystery. But poor Yoichi gets put to one side. I know they're trying to save his life, and then later on, the ex-husband, he does say, go spend time with Yoichi. But it's almost like, I don't know. Reiko's, remember he does exist. Just palmed him off with the granddad, and, or leaving him by himself. So I felt a bit sorry for him, I think is what I'm trying to say. But
told so well.
Well, and there's one really odd scene where he sees his dad. He sees his dad out in the street in the rain, and they just look at each other. They just stand there and stare at each other, and then they walk past each other. Now I'm not quite sure. I don't know if there was something like it's supposed to signify something there. Maybe the dad's been absent and that kind of thing. But I just found that a bit strange.
That is strange, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It would be nice to kind of see a little spin-off, and just see that as the opening of something for a little bit more of a kind of clarification of what that was about. But beautiful. It was very pretty, but I'm not sure what it added. I'm not sure what it added to the film.
Questions.
Because at first I wondered, I was thinking, well, is Ryuji not Yoichi's dad? But he is, isn't he? He definitely is. Yeah. I haven't missed something there, and so.
On a paternity test now.
Yeah. Ring two coming up.
It's just them in a DNA test.
When Yeah, Yoichi's 18 and he's like, I need to know. Come on.
But so I suppose it leads on. We might have covered a lot of this, but what's your thoughts on the sort of, I don't know how to word this exactly, but the ambience, the vibe, the setting, you know, I suppose how it made you feel, really. What do you take from it?
I loved it. I touched on it before, sort of earlier on, about it was the first sort of J-horror thing that I'd seen, and there is something about, I'm very, I was brought up bilingual, so I kind of have a little understanding of other cultures and how they influence, but there was something really interesting in the way in which the sort of mise en scène was set up, the way in which the shots are set up, and it took me a while to figure it out. But I think it's because in Western, but particularly, we'll talk British because that's where we are. In British culture, we read from left to right. So we'll read a scene from left to right. And traditionally, Japanese writing is top to bottom, right to left.
Yeah.
And there's other versions of art. I know that there's also the left to right, but I feel that film was built around top to bottom, right to left. And I think it translates really, really well. I've watched it since with that in mind. So I've consciously tried to read the screen from the top right down to the bottom left. And it has a completely different vibe. It's completely different.
That is amazing. I'm going to have to go rewatch it,
isn't it?
Yeah, I'll make a note of that. I'll make a note of that. Hold on.
It absolutely fascinates me because what I noticed was when I was looking at the screen right, there's a lot of blank walls, backgrounds of which I instantly was like, something's going to come out from the backgrounds there. And of course, that's not the focal point. So actually, if you look at it from top right downwards, there's a lot more information you're getting much quicker. And so a lot of the sort of slow build, I think, comes from us reading it backwards.
Okay.
So it's a really clever, very, very clever.
That is an amazing
way. Isn't it?
That understanding has just blown my mind.
I know. Even I'm like, wow.
Yeah. I'm definitely giving it another watch.
I might be completely wrong, but it definitely delivers differently if you're looking at it sort of the wrong way around.
I can't say at the moment, but that is.
Ben needs any excuse to watch that film again, so it's fine by him.
Every night, mate. Every night.
Well, let me know. I'd be interested to know what your thoughts are on that, because it definitely blew my mind when I watched it backwards.
I will do.
Have to do the same.
I mean, I absolutely love the vibe and the ambience of it as well. The way the sound design is used, like I said earlier, the silence is kind of what got me, and the almost at times lack of dialogue. And they just used kind of some of the surroundings, like all the scenes where the sea is there, like the waves are lapping, you can hear them hitting each other. And it has kind of a dark, ominous presence, I think, throughout the whole film. There's not much, well, there isn't happiness in this film, is there really? Throughout the whole thing, it's just really dark. And I think you can feel that in almost every scene. So apart from the scene where Yoichi is playing with his granddad and they go fishing. So there's a tiny bit of happiness there, I think. But it's
always got an undertone, hasn't it? Even the nice parts have got a sinister feeling. That's how I took it anyway.
Yeah, completely.
I couldn't, I haven't got much else to add to that really, but I've always said about a lot of horror films, I love films that made me uncomfortable, and this one made me uncomfortable the whole way through. And then obviously, as we said, it is a bit of a slow burner, but then they don't have to make up for it when she starts coming out the TV.
God. I was just going to say, which leads us nicely onto the scare factor,
Oh, yeah.
How scary do you guys find this movie? Because I used to think this was the absolute pinnacle of scariness. Whenever I watched this when I was younger, I was like, you can't get any scarier than that. I was sitting there in the pitch black with it turned up quite loud and, sitting there by yourself watching it, getting dragged in. And then that ending with Sadako just coming out of the TV, you're like, what the fuck? Basically, she's coming out of the TV. And then obviously the close-up shot of the eye. Absolutely petrifying.
Chef's kiss.
That's right. Yeah.
It's one of those things that I think it works really well for its time.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those films that because she comes out of the TV, right? So instantly it's dated.
Yeah.
Because not everyone now has seen a TV like that, So I think that, but there is a magic in it, because before this film, the TV was a safe thing. It was essentially the theatre fourth wall, right? So anything that happens in the TV is just a TV thing. Like, what are you talking about, Cass? Whereas that broke something in the separateness of what happens on screen and what happens in your home. And all of a sudden, the cinema could literally break into your home at any moment, because that TV was on white noise. There was nothing going on there. I think that was where the terror came for me. The slow build. I'm like, I could tell the story of a campfire, it's fine. But the fact that something can come out of something that exists in my home without my control, that blew my mind. And I think for when it was made, that would always be a key moment. Well, it was a well constructed film, but in terms of I think that it will go in as people forget what TVs were like back in the day,
my God,
when we children.
I was going to say, when we were little, that looked like perfectly fine TV right there, didn't it? So to have something come out of it, like you say, into your living room would, absolutely petrify me. It'd be like my son sitting there now. He's got this nice little gaming monitor. If he was playing something and something come out at him, he'd absolutely shit his pants. So, I mean,
I've got to say as well, obviously, as I've said, I came at a different order. So I saw the first one, which obviously was a lot more jump scary, and then coming into this one. So for me, it wasn't as scary, but it done a million times better job of building the tension, making you uncomfortable, and delivering just that one punch at the end that just sets you off. And it for me, it stays in my memory a lot harder than the newer one has done.
Yeah, because again, I think jump scares get overused massively nowadays. In pretty much every American remake of every horror movie.
Oh, gotcha.
Jump scare, and this one just slow built and told a beautiful but sad story, and then just gave you that one absolutely horrifying moment. So that is what you remember.
It's like it knew what it had. It's like it had confidence in its own storytelling. It's like, we know what we're going to deliver. We're going to build this up as much as we want, and then we're going to.
That's it.
Slap you on the face.
You're never going to watch your TV or put a video on ever again.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely iconic.
Right, I think that's. I think have we got any more? I think that's it. No.
I think we have pretty much covered it. So just having a quick look, just to see if I wanted.
Check your notes, Ben.
Yeah, will do, Grant. Thank you. It's all right, Danny. It's a bit of a running thing. I sit there and I used to make like pages and pages and pages of notes. But,
and I absolutely do zero preparation.
I tried to cut it down a bit. So, I think we've pretty much covered the film. I think the listeners can tell that we are absolute massive fans of this. It's making me want to go back and watch all the other films that's connected to it. I have seen some of the sequels, prequels. I've seen Ring 2 and Ring 0 a very long time ago. I can't really remember what either of them were about. I've seen the American remake. And then there was like a made-for-TV version, and there's been some awful ones. I haven't seen them, but I've heard they're awful. There was like Sadako versus Kayako from The Grudge. And then there's Sadako 3D, I think, as well now, of course. You got to get in on that 3D trend. So
some classes.
Maybe we'll cover one of those at another point. But
yeah, gotcha.
But yeah, not today. I'm too scared.
Yeah, I know, right? Is there anything you want to ask us, Danny, at all, or are you happy? Are we taking enough of your time?
My only question, and it might be a bit personal, is where is this tattoo?
It's on
Ben.
It's on the front of my of my leg.
Where have you? Where?
I don't know if I can.
Ben, show it. There's a tramp stamp.
Oh, you can. Oh, I'm excited. Okay.
I don't think you can really see.
Oh wow! Oh my god, that's amazing.
It is good, actually. To be fair,
thank you.
Very good. Very good.
Took quite a while with that. I'm quite happy with it. So.
Yeah, right on the shin bone.
Right on the shin bone. Yep, felt every second of pain right there. So, yeah. But it was worth it. I love it. I love it so much.
Amazing.
That's the true horror show, there, isn't it? Getting it done.
Yeah, definitely. Danny, thank you very much for coming on today. It's been absolutely amazing. Hopefully, you've enjoyed it as well.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
You're a superstar, Danny. Those answers were next level.
They really were. They really were, yes. And
we need to have a think about what we're doing, Ben, because I feel pretty useless after listening to some of them answers.
I was going to say, we need to take some time off, mate, and go and work this
out.
I
know, right?
But no, once again, Danny, thank you.
Don't worry about it, Simon. Thank you.
Right, guys, thank you so much for listening into that one. That was a lot of fun. Again, we want to thank Danny for your time. Yeah. Amazing guest to have on. Ben, did you enjoy it?
I did indeed. Yeah, like you just said, thanks to Danny for coming on. Absolutely great job, scare actor.
Yeah, and I know you love the film, so I know you had a great time.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I could talk about it for weeks.
Yeah, gotcha. Right, guys, thank you so much. As always, this will be up on our Spotify and other platforms. We're all over social media. And also, one more thing, for some exclusive cool content, we have got some special stuff over on Patreon. So please feel free to sign up, and we really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you so much. See you later.